Hello, myself Rajdeep Sidhu. This session is in continuous to my previous video. Please watch for reference. So, features of OOPS. Encapsulation. Encapsulation refers to the information hiding wherein the non-essential details are hidden from the user. Say, example of computer game wherein the user only needs to know how to play the game, but the actual working of the game is hidden to the user. Or even if you go to an ATM machine to withdraw the money, right? You enter you insert your ATM card, you provide the PIN code, but the actual back-end transaction process is encapsulated. So that's hidden. And then abstraction is basically you concentrating on the essential details. It means ignoring the non-essential details and concentrating only on the essential ones. So when in the case of ATM, so the user is not required to know the entire process, right, and how the data is stored. So program gives you restricted access to the user account. Or even when you are sending the email messages, so how the entire process of sending the email messages over the network process is there, so that is not necessary, right? So that's the main difference between encapsulation and abstraction. Encapsulation hides the irrelevant details of an object, and abstraction makes only the relevant details of an object visible. Then inheritance. Inheritance basically helps you to add the new features and functionality to an existing class without modifying the existing classes. So you extend the functionality of an existing class. And there are different types of inheritance. Single inheritance is wherein a subclass is derived from only one superclass. And then you have multiple inheritance wherein a subclass is derived from more than one superclasses, right? And similarly you have hierarchical and hybrid, right? But one point is here that multiple inheritance is not supported, wherein a single class has more than one superclass, right? Subclass has more than one superclasses. So this concept is supported by the interfaces. Then you have polymorphism. Polymorphism means many. It is derived from the two Latin words poly, which means many, and morph means forms, wherein one thing can exist in more than one forms. So say example, a person plays the various roles when he interacts with the members of the family, right? He is a father, he's a son, he's a husband, so he plays different roles. So this is referred to the polymorph, right? And polymorphism is of two types: compile time polymorphism, which is referred to as the static binding, and runtime polymorphism, or dynamic, so overloading and overriding. So we will cover this in detail later on. So Java provides access specifiers and modifiers to decide which part of the class, such as data, members, and the methods, will be accessible to other classes or the objects, and how the data members are used in other classes and objects. So for access specifier, the public access specifier basically the classes with public specifier, they can be accessed anywhere in the same class, package in which it is created, or a package other than the one in which the class it is declared. So basically they can be called and modified from outside. Protected access specifier, the variables and the methods that are declared as protected, they are accessible only to the subclasses in which they are declared. So to the subclasses. So basically they can be called and modified from the derived classes. And the protected keyword is used to declare the member as protected. Private access specifier. So the private access specifier provides more restricted level of access. Basically they can be called and modified only from the current class. So the data member of a class which is declared private, it is basically accessible at the class level only, right? So you use the keyword as private access specifier. The private is used to declare the member as private. And then is the default access specifier. That's the friendly, it's often referred as friendly or default access specifier. So it can be called, modified, or instantiated from the same package. So package in Java, it is a mechanism to encapsulate a group of classes or a way to organize the class files provided in Java. So packages are mainly used for preventing the naming conflicts. For example, like there can be two classes with the same name in two different packages, making the searching and locating of the classes, providing the control access using the protected and the default level access specifiers as we discussed. Then the package can be considered as data encapsulation or data hiding. There are two types of the packages: user-defined packages and inbuilt packages. So built-in packages, basically they contain a large number of the classes which are a part of the Java API. Common examples are java.lang, which contains the language support classes. Java.io contains the classes for supporting input-output operations. Java.util contains the utility classes, which implements the different data structures like linked list, dictionary, etc. Java.applet contains the classes for creating the applets. Java.awt contains the components for implementing the components for GUI, graphical user interfaces. Java.net contains the classes for supporting the network operations. User-defined packages. So the package that a user creates are called user-defined packages. The user-defined can be imported in any Java program. So first we create a directory, as in my package. The name should be the name as the name of the package. Then create the class inside the directory with the first statement being the package name. The data types in Java are divided into two groups: primitive data types and non-primitive data type. The primitive data type specifies the size and the type of number values, and it has no additional methods. There are 8 primitive data types, as you see below. The primitive number types are divided into two groups: integer types and floating point types. So integer type stores the whole numbers, positive or negative, without the decimals. The valid types are byte, which size is 1 byte, short 2 bytes, int 4 bytes, long 8 bytes. And floating point types basically represent the numbers with a fractional part containing one or more decimals. There are two types: float, its size is 4 bytes, and double, 8 bytes. Char is another primitive data type which stores a single character or a letter or ASCII values. Its size is 2 bytes. Boolean, 1 bit, which stores true or false values. So if you note here, the primitive data type always begins with a lowercase, and its behavior is exactly same as in C++. The non-primitive data types are called the reference types because they refer to the objects. So the types of the non-primitive data types are string, which stores the sequence of the characters. They are often referred by the double quotes. Arrays, which hold a fixed number of the values of the single type, and after creation its length is fixed. Classes, as we already discussed here, you can create a new instance of the class using a new keyword. Interface is just like a dashboard or a control panel for a class. It contains the method declarations. So the primary difference between primitive and non-primitive data types are: primitive types are predefined, but non-primitive types are not defined by Java except for string. And non-primitive types can be used to call the methods to perform the certain operations. Also, the non-primitive types can be null. And as you have seen, the primitive data type starts with a lowercase, but non-primitive starts with an uppercase. And the size of the primitive type depends on the data type, whereas in non-primitive, the types have all the same size. That's all for today. Don't forget to post your queries on the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and watch for more videos on Java. Thanks.